What is up, New Beginnings Church? Happy Friday morning to you. Thank God it's Friday. Let's do this. Today we are turning the page into Luke chapter 19. And really this whole week has been just a bunch of, to me, just rich and famous, memorable stories. And none may be more memorable than this story because we wrote a children's song about this story. I don't know if you grew up in church, but if you didn't, you missed out on this unbelievable hit award-winning song. It went something like this. Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree to see what he could, something like that. Anyway, so this is how the story goes. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was very wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him. And since Jesus was coming that way, so when Jesus finally reached the spot, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house. And so he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, complain. They got negative. They had an attitude. He goes, Jesus has gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Again, if you're not paying attention here, a lot of times as you enter into this story, I think the biblical authors here, Luke in this case, is saying, hey, I've got a great story for you. And what he wants to make sure is that the main point is not lost on you. That the reason why Jesus is engaging with Zacchaeus is this last line. Why? Because the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Really, really cool little moments from this story. He wanted to see who Jesus was, right? He could be short. He's like, I can't see Jesus. I keep, just like the blind guy from yesterday, I can't see Jesus, but man, if I can somehow just get to him, I think there's something special about Jesus. And I love it. He said he wanted to see Jesus, and Jesus showed him exactly who he was. A few key indicators of Jesus' radical grace and radical mercy. Of course, Luke laces it in there. This guy's not just a tax collector who was hated by Israel, and they overtaxed people, and they had sided with Rome and made allegiance to Caesar. These people weren't even allowed to go to church. That's how despised they were. And when Jesus sees this person, everybody else hates this guy. And it said, watch this, it says immediately. I want you to know who Jesus is. I just don't want to be in your life. I want to be in your life right now. Next thing. Then he says, immediately come down. And then he almost commands it. He doesn't like ask, can I come to your house? Jesus said, I must go to your house. I must have dinner with you. Come on, we're doing this. And so Jesus, I just need you to know this. He wants to love you right here, right now. And he wants it to be incredibly personal. Jesus wants to come into the home of your heart. He wants to get as deep in as you will let him. He wants to get into the nooks and corners and crannies of your life. It is going to be very personal. And I love this about Jesus here. In this moment, his grace overwhelms Zacchaeus. Just in the fact that Jesus said immediately, you get down here, I'm coming to your house, even though everybody else is ridiculing you, everybody else has written you off. They won't even allow you at church. Sometimes church is going to come into your house, is what Jesus is saying. And watch this. Zacchaeus responds to grace with incredible action. Now, he doesn't pray a prayer. He doesn't say the sinner's prayer. That doesn't really even exist. That's not in the Bible. He doesn't do anything. He actually just responds to grace with grace. He responds to Jesus' grace with saying, hey, I think I need to actually do the right thing now. I need to respond with justice and faithfulness and mercy. And so he recognizes that what he's done is wrong. And so he goes, hey, if I've robbed anybody, I'm going to pay him back. And I'm going to give half of what I have to the poor, this radical gesture. And think about this. He doesn't say a prayer. He just says, hey, I'm going to undo what I've done. I'm going to make just what I've been doing wrong. And Jesus' response is, hey, salvation has visited your house today. And this is just the nature of Jesus. Have you ever noticed that the interactions that Jesus has with people, they're all unique? They're all a little bit different. Like Jesus doesn't just give you one cookie cutter answer to everything. When he's talking to the woman at the well who's been married 5 times, he goes, hey, you need living water. Of course, in the story right next to that, he's talking to a religious Pharisee. And he goes, you need to be born again. And then, of course, with Zacchaeus, it's like everybody gets just kind of here's, I guess, what you would say is this, is that Jesus meets you where you are and he gives you what you need. And so, church, I hope that you are open to, hey, I need to do whatever it takes. Just like the blind guy, just like Zacchaeus, I need to do whatever it takes to get to Jesus. And I need to let that grace overwhelm me to the point that I respond to life with grace. Can I get an amen to that? Church, I love you so much. God bless you. I'll see you this weekend.